Hey guys, it's Kevin, my review for Big Little Lies, Season 2, Episode 4, She Knows, and I apologize for this review being a little bit late. Unfortunately, because last week things like Spider-Man Far From Home and Midsummer was coming out earlier than they usually would, I had to put my reviews for this and Legion on the back burner. I'm going to get back into the swing of things this week, definitely. You have nothing to worry about there. So yeah, I saw the episode on Sunday, but I always try to give it 2 watches just because there's things I might miss, and I want to try to give you guys the most accurate review. And so, because of that, and then me trying to finish Too Old to Die Young, Stranger Things also coming out, there were so many things that just clouding the schedule. I just did not have time to sit down and rewatch it, but I finally did, and I will finally give you my review. Now, I will say right now, a big reason for me is not because I didn't like this episode, because I did like this episode. As usual, I always like Big Little Lies, but I will say this was probably the weakest episode of the entire show for me. If this episode is any indication of where the season is headed, I'm not excited for it. There is stuff I love about this episode, but there is quite a few things that do keep it from being a genuinely great episode. This was the first just good episode of Big Little Lies, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a show like this that has been so consistently great, I do hold it to a bit of a high standard. So when it gives me an episode that isn't great, yeah, it is a little bit strange, but we're just going to get into it right now. So let me talk about the stuff that I really did love first. Everything going on with Mary Louise and Celeste, all of that continues to be really interesting, and they're taking it to some really crazy places. I mean, at this point, Mary Louise is just in full-on stalker mode. She's gotten to the point where she's gotten a unit in Jane's building, so she can be with all of her kids full-time, and you can see from Mary Louise that she does not see this as stalking. She sees this as a way for her to be in all of her kids' lives. She wants to be with Ziggy. She wants to be with Max and Josh. She wants to be there for them. But knowing the way she does about Jane, which, she said before, she doesn't fully believe that Jane is a rape victim, and if she is, are there others out there? Like, she just doesn't fully believe her. It's very creepy at the same time, and you can see Jane is very off-put by it. Bonnie as well, this is the first time that she has an encounter with Mary Louise, and right off the bat, she just senses really bad vibes from her. But the scene between Celeste and Mary Louise, where she ends up just reprimanding her for it and telling her that she's going too far, and then she ends up slapping her. Mary Louise has that great line where she's like, "What do you call that, foreplay?" That exchange is just so great. It's watching 2 amazing actresses just go at it, and I am loving everything Celeste and Mary Louise. I think all of that stuff continues to be great. Most of the rest of the episode, we see Mary Louise is going about this paperwork. We don't really know what's going on there. She has some kind of lawyer played by Dennis O'Hare. She spends a very good portion of the episode with Max and Josh, and things are actually going pretty well. They're getting along well with her. They're recalling memories of their dad, who, again, they hold nothing but good memories towards Perry, similar to how Mary Louise does. So, because of that, things are going really well, and you're wondering, okay, what's really going to happen here? And I think all of that stuff is definitely very interesting, but especially once you have that scene with Celeste and Mary Louise, where Celeste just tells her, they have that scene, and Celeste, talks about how she just feels she's getting a little too close and things like that, and how she's very judgmental of her. And we realize that Mary Louise is not just with the boys because she wants to be with the kids. No, she wants full custody. She wants to take the kids away from Celeste because she genuinely does not think that Celeste is a good mother and that she is in a good place right now. And honestly, on one hand, I see where she's coming from, because we see Celeste, who, again, it seems like they're getting confused with what to do with her character. One episode, we have her, and, she seems to be just think of Perry in a very positive way, and she can't let go of those happy memories, and all the negativity. She just can't, just let go of him entirely. This week, on the other hand, we see her, she's now into Ambien. It seems like that really is having a negative effect on her, but she also is with some unnamed guy that she doesn't remember, so yeah, this can become quite problematic for sure for her, but again, it's just, the writing for her just seems a bit inconsistent. I think they need to have a clearer idea, and it seems like now we know where this is going, where Mary Louise is trying to file to get custody of the kids. I don't know if she's going to take them completely away from Celeste, but here's the thing. As much as I do enjoy this story, that is where we ran into one of my issues, and maybe I'm just overthinking this. Celeste, I'm pretty sure, is an attorney, right? We established this in season 1. She, is in law school and things like that. So couldn't she just theoretically appoint herself? Like, can't that happen? Can't she just represent herself and, get herself out of the situation? Because, like, Renata and Madeline, they have this conversation where, Mary Louise took the best lawyer and they don't know who they can get for Celeste. So I'm just kind of thinking, well, why can't she just represent herself? Like, there's no reason why. It's not like she's being charged of all these things. Like, no, she could easily represent herself. And I think it's, for some reason they've seemed to have forgotten about that. But again, that's just kind of like a small complaint. It's not really something that big. It kind of annoyed me a little bit. But what I did love is that confrontation between Jane and Mary Louise, because Mary Louise tells Jane that she thinks she's a good mother, she doesn't plan to take Ziggy away, but you can see that Jane is very hurt by the fact that Mary Louise feels this way towards Celeste. And again, because of how close we've seen Celeste and Jane this season, this scene is all the more impactful when Jane is telling her to fuck off, and Jane is telling her that she is going way too far, and that she's not going to let her do this. I mean, you really see that wrath in Shailene Woodley, and I think she just did such an incredible job in this scene, and I really do love where that all is headed for sure. So that stuff is definitely going to be very interesting. I really don't know how Celeste is going to be able to get out of this situation, but we'll have to see where that ends up going. It's definitely not what I expected them to do with Mary Louise as a character, but I think it's genuinely a very interesting direction here. Now, the other big part of this episode is with Renata. Renata in this episode, at this point, she's just kind of starting to face the fact that there is nothing she's going to be able to do about her financial stability. She's going to end up losing all of it. Her and Ed, not her and Ed, her and Gordon, they're going to be, they're going to lose all of their fortune, and she's just starting to accept it. There's nothing really that she's going to be able to do about it. So she decides she's going to throw one last party for Amabella. Even though it's not her birthday, she's going to throw one close to her birthday just because, she doesn't know how much longer she'll be able to. And that whole scene was great. I love the way that was done. It reminded us of kind of like the season 1 finale where all the characters were together, and I think they did a really great job with that for sure. But the best scene easily with Renata is when she's talking to Gordon and they're having that conversation where she tells him that, she wished, she always, when she was, young, she always wished that if she had a daughter, she'd do everything she possibly can for her. She would give her the best life possible. She'd, constantly just throw whatever she wanted. She'd try to give her, she'd try to be financially stable. She'd try to support her in that way. And she only can do that for so much longer. And you see the guilt that Gordon really does have here. And you see how Renata really does feel towards him. I mean, this is definitely Gordon's fault. Renata had really nothing to do about this. And what I'm really loving about this season is that as great as a comedic actress as Laura Dern is, which, they frequently use her for comedy, this season is remembering that she is a great actress all on her own. And it's scenes like this that really just show how great of an actress Renata really is. She's a character that, again, plot-wise, hasn't had a lot going on till now, but this really shows how great of an actress she really is. I mean, definitely we saw it in season 1, but I feel like this season they are supporting that even better. And I really love scenes like this. What we get there is just so great. And, just the bittersweetness of it all, knowing that Renata is going to lose everything she cares about. She's kind of just at a ticking clock at this point. And I don't really know how much longer this is going to last. But I feel like by the end of the season, she's going to lose everything, and it's going to be very sad. But I like they're taking the character in this direction. Like I said, I think they're going to be able to explore new ground, and I'm excited to see where this ends up going, even though it's probably going to be really tragic at the same time. But the other big thing to talk about, the stuff with Ed and Madeline. Now, similar to last week, we didn't get a lot of this, and that's mainly due to how short a lot of these episodes have been. The scenes in general have been really short, but we still get enough just to show how dismissive Ed is being at the moment. You know, Madeline knows that she fucked up, and she's trying to do whatever she can to fix this, but you can see Ed, he can't look at her the same way, and that's understandable. I mean, I think he really did love Madeline. He wanted to do everything for her. I think he still does love Madeline, but he just feels so hurt that this happened. And you see at this point, he's much more happier with Bonnie. Those two seem to be enjoying themselves more, but I kind of want to see more of that. I want to see more of these two hanging out. They seem to be genuinely enjoying each other's company, and there's that great scene at the party when he's dancing with Bonnie, but Madeline comes up to him, and she's like, why aren't we dancing? And Ed talks about how fake it would be, and how it would feel manufactured, because they don't actually want to dance with each other. It's just something that they're supposed to do because they're at a party together, and I think that was a really great line. It's just showing that Ed doesn't really know what is real anymore. What is them showing their actual love, and if they even do have that actual love, and I think that stuff is definitely really interesting. It's just, once again, I want to see more than just, Madeline trying to get him to open up, him being dismissive. It's just getting a little repetitive. I like the scene with her, and, I love the scenes with her and Abby and how much this is bringing them closer together and things like that. But I just need a little bit more from Ed and Madeline. And again, I want to see more of him and Bonnie as well, because they genuinely seem to be enjoying each other's company, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go for sure. I do love the scene, though, with Ed and Madeline, and she asks him, why don't you just leave me? Like, if you really want to leave me, then just do so. And Ed talks about how he doesn't, but Madeline says that, no, he is leaving her. And I think emotionally, yeah, he's just not there. He doesn't seem to be, there. And again, it makes sense, because he just looks at her completely differently now. He doesn't know if he's ever going to be able to get over it. I don't think he will be able to get over it. And you can see that this really has altered their relationship. It's a struggle for sure, and I don't think they're going to be able to repair this. As much as Madeline wants them to, I don't think they're going to be able to. But Ed still sticks around. He sticks around. They're going to try to stick this out, and I feel like it's only going to get worse. I feel like it's only going to get worse over time, but we'll have to see the way that ends up going for sure. But again, I really did love that scene, and because of how great that scene was, I need more like that. I love the way that's headed, and I'm excited to see where they end up going with that. And then as far as Jane and Corey go, like I said, a lot of this season I've had a hard time really getting into these two, but I have to say they're doing some really great work with them. We see things are getting pretty serious between Jane and Corey. They seem to be a very loving sort of couple, and Jane decides that she's just going to finally open up to him, and I really do like the scene where she's talking to him about how she was a rape victim and things like that, but I feel like they cut away way too soon. We need another minute or so to really take that in, see Corey's reaction, see how they're going to develop this, and I feel like that's something that is starting to hurt this season. I don't like that these episodes are so short. I think they need to be a lot longer for sure. HBO shows are typically like 57 minutes in length, so the fact that this is a lot shorter than that is quite strange. And I'm not saying, like, it needs to be, like, an hour long every episode. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just feel like this season, there have been certain scenes that have just been way too short, and they have felt a bit cut off, and, like, they're trying to, they're trying to move this as quickly as possible, and you definitely are starting to see that here. And scenes like that, I really do feel like would have benefited more from a longer scene. But again, I like seeing these two together. I like where they're going with them, and it's good to see Jane in, like I said before, it's just good to see Jane in what seems like a healthy relationship. I know there's a theory out there that a lot of people think Corey's going to be bad and that he's going to end up being, someone who's really toxic, but no, I genuinely think that this is a good guy. I genuinely do think that this is someone that Jane is going to want to end up with. And I think he's going to get her to move past those fears that she has, of her getting too close to him sexually. I think he's going to be able to get her past that. I don't think she's ever going to be able to move past it entirely, but I think he's going to be able to not make it as prominent as it is characters right now, because she has been quite closed off up to this point. Besides her being the Monterey Five, those are really the only people she's opened up to. This is really the first time she's opening up to someone outside of the Monterey Five, and it's genuinely really great to see, and I'm excited to see where they end up taking that for sure. Now we get into some of my negatives for this episode, which I hate to say it, almost all of it involves Bonnie and her mother, which initially I really like. I love the idea that we're getting to learn more about Bonnie's past and things like that. Elizabeth being an alcoholic, it seemed like that's where they were kind of headed with it, and I'm excited to see where they end up going, but if this is where we're headed, I mean, really, it seems like the only reason that we're doing this is to build up momentum that this season doesn't need. This season, yes, it has been a lot less eventful than season 1, but it's worked as sort of like a character piece. It's worked as the characters, start trying to get over the events of season 1 in that way, and I don't really feel like we need all of this, she has, visions now and things like that. It's just a very strange thing to introduce into the show. Big Little Lies has never been a supernatural show. It's always been a very realistic show, and I don't feel like you need this at all. The moment that especially got me, I mean, look, at first the stuff they did with her I thought was really good when her mother's there, and it seems like her and Bonnie are getting along really well, but then she starts to talk about, oh, I don't like the negative energy in this house, and it's giving me really bad vibes, but it's like, what specifically is giving you those bad vibes? What specifically are you feeling? So her mother ends up passing out at the party and things like that, and, it's a big moment, but I don't really feel that much. I should feel something, but I've only had an episode and a half to really know this character, so I don't really feel that much. But it turns out the reason why she passed out is the vision that she was having, which I think is just completely absurd. It's Bonnie drowning in a lake, kind of inferring that Bonnie's gonna die in this season, which I just do not like where this is headed at all. I hope this doesn't go anywhere, I hope they don't follow this that strictly. I hope this is just something that, she's just crazy and she's having these visions and they don't mean anything. Maybe it's due in part to her alcoholism or something like that. I really don't want this to mean anything. I think it's a really dumb idea to have this happen, and I hope they don't take it in that direction. What I do like is the scene with Detective Quinlan where, Bonnie sees her there, and she's thinking, holy shit, she's on to us. It turns out she's just there for someone else. But I do have to think, after the conversation she had with Mary Louise in the last episode, maybe Detective Quinlan is starting to get a little suspicious. Maybe that she is kind of onto them, and I'm interested in seeing really where that's going to go. But like I said, I just did not really like this plotline all that much. I love expanding Bonnie's character more. Zoe Kravitz has been doing some amazing work, but if we're taking it in this supernatural direction, that to me seems like something that really is kind of jumping the shark, and I'm hoping they're not going that direction. This season has been really great so far, but this is the first thing that I am just very, very skeptical about if they're really heading in that direction. I hope that they don't, but we'll just have to see where they take it, I guess. Also, another big negative for me is the stuff with Ed and Nathan. Look, I love when these two bicker, but having them fight felt like nothing. I don't know why that was really here. Nothing was building up to that. I don't really understand why they had to physically fight. You could have had one of those fun exchanges between them, which I always love, just them duking it out. But them actually fighting, physically fighting, it just felt like because this was similar to the party we had in Season 1, they had to retread similar beats, and they really did not need to do that here. It felt completely just forced and lazy, and I don't understand why they had to do that. It was just very awkward writing for sure, and the fact that it's never brought up again, especially, it just shows that it didn't need to happen at all here. And then, look, I know, every single week this has been a complaint of mine, but still, even with Jane opening up to Corey, there's still no mention of Tom at all. It's like he's just not on the show. And maybe I should just stop thinking about it. Maybe it just shouldn't be a complaint, but I'm sorry, it's just... It's very weird to me. The fact that you've had this character, there hasn't been one mention of him whatsoever. Maybe that's going to change, but I don't think it's going to anytime soon. Maybe this will be the last time I bring it up. I don't know, but it's something that has been bothering me this entire season, and that still has not changed. We'll just have to see if they end up bringing it up. I'm not sure. If they do, it'll finally... I hope they do, because I'm tired of complaining about it, but until they do, it's going to be a flaw, because it's something that it feels like this show just kind of dropped, and it's just felt a little weird since then. You know, we'll just have to see where they end up. If they end up mentioning him at all, you know, theoretically, they definitely can. There's definitely plenty of scenes where Jane has been able to do that, because we still have no idea what happened there. If she turned him down. I mean, maybe she just turned him down, I'm not sure, but they really haven't said. But again, I like Corey. I do. I'm really warming up to Corey as a character, and I feel like if you want to replace someone with Tom, Corey is a good fit. Even though he isn't really that much of a character, he's just really just a good guy. I like where they're headed with that. So I don't have a ton of problems. It's just give me one mention, really. That's all I need. I just need one mention. Technically speaking, this episode was still really good. There's a lot of good stuff going on here for sure. Nothing really stuck out though. Like, I will say, in terms of Big Little Lies, this was the first episode to me where there wasn't like a specific shot that really stuck out in terms of cinematography. Every other episode in this show, there's been like at least one or two shots. Not really one here. I don't know if that's like necessarily a complaint, but that definitely was something that I noticed for sure. The 70s music I loved. I loved the 70s party and things like that. All that stuff was definitely very well done. It was a really nice sort of throwback to the 50s party at the end of the first season. I think that was definitely well done here for sure. But in the way that the first season had that forward momentum, we had a very good idea of where the season is going. This season, it's a bit unclear. I'm hoping we're not moving in a superstitious direction. I'm hoping where we're heading is the lie that they've had to tell, the fact that it's really starting to get to them, the fact that Bonnie thinks that this is going to be something that they're not going to be able to keep up for that much longer. You know, they're trying to keep up that front, but she doesn't think they're going to be able to do for that much longer. I hope that's where we're heading, and not this sage, superstitious bullshit that just does not belong in this show at all. So, like I said, this was still a really good episode. There was a lot that I really enjoyed here for sure. I love all the Renata stuff, the Mary Louise and Celeste stuff. I mean, it's just fantastic. Even though, like I said, it's a bit unclear as to where Celeste's character is going. It just seems like the way they're writing her every single week, it feels like there's something different, and I think it's about to get a little more consistent. The stuff with Jane and Corey, I definitely did love, for sure. I like where they're going with Ed and Madeline. That whole storyline is definitely really great. It's just overall, I'm having a hard time figuring out where they're going in the grand scheme of things, but we'll really have to see how that ends up going. But overall, I still really did enjoy this episode, and I am going to give Big Little Lies Season 2, Episode 4, She Knows, a B. And continuing my ridiculous dumbassery, I actually forgot to do a outro for this video, but that's really it for my review of this episode of Big Little Lies. And those guys saw this episode overall, left your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.